Welcome to Streaming News Network, where we deliver balanced reporting with the facts that matter. Evening Edition by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A bipartisan group of United States senators is calling for an immediate vote on a Russia sanctions bill that was developed over more than 2 years by the late Senator Lindsey Graham and fellow lawmakers. Speaking in Washington, the senators said the legislation has already been coordinated with the White House, has broad bipartisan support, and should be passed without additional amendments. They argued that reopening the bill could delay action and complicate a measure containing detailed sanctions provisions. House Speaker Mike Johnson also voiced support, saying House Republicans are prepared to consider the legislation once it clears the Senate. The proposal would impose tougher sanctions on Russia, Russian businesses, wealthy individuals, and companies that help Moscow evade existing restrictions. It also targets the largest foreign buyers of Russian oil and natural gas with secondary sanctions and tariffs. Lawmakers say the latest version narrows its focus to the world's largest importers of Russian energy and includes new provisions aimed at Russia's so-called shadow fleet, a network of oil tankers used to bypass international sanctions. Senators say the bill is intended to increase economic pressure on Russia while responding to continued attacks on civilians in Ukraine. They also expressed confidence the measure can pass before the Senate begins its August recess. Supporters say approving the legislation would also honor Senator Lindsey Graham, who helped finalize the bill shortly before his passing and remained one of its strongest advocates. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Florida is preparing for what could become the first same-day executions in the state's modern history of capital punishment. Governor Ron DeSantis has rescheduled the execution of James Duckett, setting it for July 28 at noon. The execution of Dominic Occhicone, already scheduled for that day, is expected to take place at 6 o'clock that evening. Duckett, a 68-year-old former police officer, was convicted in the 1987 kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of 11-year-old Teresa Maccabee. He has consistently maintained his innocence and recently sought new DNA testing, arguing that advances in forensic science could support his claims. The Florida Supreme Court temporarily delayed his execution while the testing was completed. After the results were reported as inconclusive, the stay was lifted. A court hearing is still scheduled as his legal team continues its appeals. Occhicone, now 80 years old, was sentenced to death for the murders of his former fiancée's parents nearly 4 decades ago in Pasco County. His attorneys have argued that his advanced age and declining health make execution unconstitutional, but those arguments were rejected by a lower court. His appeal is now before the Florida Supreme Court. If both executions proceed as scheduled, it will mark the first time in Florida's modern death penalty era that 2 inmates are executed on the same day. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A Georgia judge is deciding whether to delay the upcoming murder trial of Sarah Grace Patrick, the 18-year-old accused of killing her mother and stepfather in their Carroll County home last year. Patrick appeared in court on Monday, remaining quiet and expressionless as her attorney requested additional time to prepare the defense. Her lawyer argued that newly disclosed evidence, including information involving a law enforcement officer and forensic procedures, requires further investigation before the trial can proceed. Prosecutors rejected the defense's claims, saying the officer in question simply tested a firearm that was ultimately determined to have no connection to the case. The judge is expected to rule on the request for a delay in the coming days. Patrick is charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the February 20, 2025, deaths of her mother, Kristen Brock, and her stepfather, James Brock. Investigators allege the couple was shot while asleep inside their home. Authorities arrested Patrick several months later, saying the case was built on extensive digital and physical evidence. Patrick, who was 17 at the time of the alleged crimes and is being tried as an adult, has consistently denied the allegations through her attorney and family members. If convicted, she could face a sentence of life in prison. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Florida has executed Dennis Sacher, making the 74-year-old the oldest inmate put to death in the state's modern history of capital punishment. Sacher was pronounced dead Tuesday evening at Florida State Prison following a lethal injection. Before the procedure began, he apologized repeatedly to the family of Patricia Gifford, saying he was deeply sorry. He also thanked his own family for their support and concluded his final statement by commending his spirit to Jesus Christ. Sacher was convicted of the kidnapping and murder of 18-year-old Patricia Gifford on New Year's Day, 1982. Investigators said the two met at a New Year's Eve gathering before Soccer abducted and killed her. Although he later confessed to the crime, Gifford's body has never been recovered. Following the execution, Patricia Gifford's sister said the sentence brought some measure of justice but not complete closure, as the family still does not know where her remains are. She renewed her appeal for anyone with information to contact law enforcement. The execution marks Florida's 10th execution of the year, more than any other state. 2 more executions are scheduled this month, including one involving an 80-year-old inmate, which would be another milestone in the state's history of capital punishment. On the day of the execution, the United States Supreme Court declined to intervene, allowing the sentence to proceed. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A 21-year-old Indian national who federal authorities say was living in the United States illegally has been sentenced to 4 years and 8 months in prison for a Southern California semi-truck crash that killed 3 people. Jashanpreet Singh pleaded guilty to 3 felony counts of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence in connection with the October 2025 collision on Interstate 10 in San Bernardino County. Investigators say the tractor-trailer struck slow-moving traffic without any evidence that the brakes were applied before impact. 3 people were killed and several others were injured. Federal authorities said Singh entered the United States after crossing the southern border in 2022 and was released pending immigration proceedings. The case has also renewed scrutiny over commercial driver's license requirements. Singh received a California commercial driver's license in June 2025. Federal transportation officials later directed California to review licenses issued to non-citizens under updated emergency guidance, arguing Singh should have been disqualified. California officials maintained that his license was issued based on federally authorized employment documents that were valid at the time. Just days after a restriction on his commercial driver's license was removed, authorities say Singh was driving the semi-truck involved in the fatal crash. The case continues to fuel debate over immigration enforcement, commercial driver licensing standards, and highway safety. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. A $12.8 million Arizona lottery jackpot is now at the center of a legal battle between Circle K and one of its former store managers. Robert Galitza, who managed a Circle K location in Scottsdale, claims he legally purchased the winning ticket after it had been left behind by a customer in November 2025. According to court filings, store employees were expected to purchase lottery tickets that customers failed to claim after they had been mistakenly printed. Galitza says he followed that established procedure by clocking out, removing his work uniform, paying $10 for the ticket, receiving a sales receipt, and signing the back of the ticket after discovering it matched the winning numbers. However, after learning the ticket was worth $12.8 million, Circle K directed that it be held at the company's corporate offices while ownership was reviewed. Galitza was later dismissed from his job after the company alleged he was attempting to claim winnings that may have belonged to the original customer. His attorney argues that multiple current and former employees have confirmed the store's long-standing policy and maintains that ownership legally transferred when Galitza completed the purchase. Circle K says the lawsuit is intended only to determine the rightful owner of the winning ticket and notes that the customer who originally purchased lottery tickets may also have a legal claim. The Arizona State Lottery is holding the jackpot while the case moves through the courts, where a jury is expected to decide who ultimately owns the multimillion-dollar prize. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The Houston Texans and the National Football League are mourning the loss of Janice McNair, the team's co-founder and senior chairwoman, who passed away peacefully in Houston at the age of 89, surrounded by her family. In a statement released by the organization, her son and Texans president, Cal McNair, remembered his mother as a woman whose life was guided by faith, family, generosity, and a deep love of football. Janice McNair played a pivotal role in restoring National Football League football to Houston after the departure of the Houston Oilers. Alongside her late husband, Bob McNair, she helped secure the league's newest expansion franchise in 1999. The Houston Texans began play in 2002, giving the city a new team and a renewed sense of pride. Beyond football, the McNair family became widely recognized for its charitable work. Through the Houston Texans Foundation and the Robert and Janice McNair Foundation, they supported education, healthcare, youth programs, and numerous community initiatives across Texas. Janice McNair's legacy extends far beyond the football field, touching countless lives through her leadership, philanthropy, and commitment to the Houston community. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Authorities in Missouri are investigating the death of Alexandra "Allie" Hummel, a 36-year-old registered nurse who was found unresponsive inside her home in Rawls County on June 23. Deputies responded to a 911 call at the family's residence in New London. Investigators say the county coroner ordered an autopsy as officials work to determine the cause and manner of her death. The case has drawn additional public attention because Hummel's husband, Dr. Andrew Hummel, a licensed anesthesiologist, previously pleaded guilty in an unrelated criminal case. According to court records, Dr. Hummel pleaded guilty in March 2026 to assaulting a woman. He had originally been arrested in July 2025 on allegations that he strangled and struck a woman with whom he had a romantic relationship. At this time, authorities have not accused Dr. Hummel of any crime or wrongdoing in connection with his wife's death, and investigators have not announced whether foul play is suspected. Alexandra Hummel would have celebrated her 37th birthday on July 7. The investigation remains active, and officials say additional information will be released as it becomes available. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The cause of death has been released for former child actor Blake Garrett, who died in February at the age of 33. According to the Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Garrett died from acute fentanyl toxicity, and his death has been ruled an accident. Garrett was living at a sober living residence in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the time of his passing. His mother previously said he had maintained his sobriety for approximately 3 years but had recently been diagnosed with shingles, a condition that can cause severe and persistent nerve pain. Blake Garrett was best known for portraying Plug in the 2006 family film How to Eat Fried Worms, based on the popular children's novel by Thomas Rockwell. The movie followed a boy who accepted a challenge to eat 15 worms in 15 days, with Garrett playing the sidekick to the story's main bully. Earlier in his career, Garrett also appeared in children's stage productions and toured internationally with Barney, performing in live shows before making his feature film debut. Family, friends, and fans continue to remember Garrett for his work as a child actor and the positive impact he made during his brief career in entertainment.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and our audio reports. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.